I am trying to teach through theater regulation of emotions because these kids are crazy. They are either depressed or they are super excited. And I'm like, y'all, can we just be mellow?
Hey guys, I think most of y'all would agree with me when I say you can only really express your true self with your closest friends. My friends know me inside and out, and because of that, I can share anything with them. But friendships, like anything else, can be kind of hard to keep up with when life gets crazy. It can be schools, chores, jobs, or even when a best friend moves and has to change schools. Luckily, Instagram is here to save the day because they allow me to create close friends lists that allow me to send stories to just my besties. Like, maybe it's a funny meme that I found while scrolling, or maybe it's that photo I took while I was ugly crying during that sappy rom-com. I love being able to share that easily with just close friends to give them a laugh. There's a saying that goes, it's just the little things, and I swear it's still true. Because thanks to Instagram, I can share that everyday ridiculousness with my close friends. Finding ways to keep up with friends can be challenging. Life comes at you fast, and it can be hard to stay in touch. That's why I love Instagram. Sometimes when I'm feeling nostalgic, I'll tag my friends in an old photo of us just to let them know that I'm thinking about them or share a song that reminds me of them. And I'm so glad that Instagram gives us the outlet to do that. There's that old saying that goes, it's just the little things, and I swear it's still true. And I'm so glad that I can enjoy those little things with Instagram and my close friends. Greg Cada.
Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast. Hi, I'm so excited that you're coming to hang out with me today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Beautiful house.
Oh, yes. It's my cousin's, but I'll claim it for the day.
Claim it.
Absolutely. This is my house. Thank you. Welcome.
Right.
In the French Quarter, New Orleans.
Yep.
So you are a drama teacher for kindergartners. For some reason, I thought it was first grade.
K through 7. I teach the whole school.
Wow. Okay. Yes. So tell me how did you come to want to be a teacher in the first place, much less like pick your subject area and age group?
I don't know if I have I know at a very early age, I loved the idea of teaching. I was very much into my first grade teacher, Mrs. Meredith.
Oh.
Turns out I think I wanted to be Mrs. Meredith more than I actually had a crush on Mrs. Meredith, but...
Yeah.
Or I jokingly say I eventually had a crush on Mr. Meredith, so didn't, but I remember asking my mom for a chalkboard when I was a kid. That was a Christmas present I wanted because I wanted to play teacher, and I would make up fake tests and I would grade them. I just liked the idea of, I don't know, rearing kids, I guess. But then probably in my high school years, I started teaching, doing workshops, doing theater stuff, theater related summer camps and whatnot. And then I just realized I was good at it and I enjoyed it. I liked helping kids reach potentials and whatnot. And so I don't know if there was a moment. I just know that teaching was always in my life, and it was sometimes I'm I feel like you need to listen to the universe and really pursue that.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you're not passionate about what you're good at, but you eventually figure out how to be.
Yeah,
right?
I always say that sometimes when the universe is trying to tell you something, it will start yelling at you.
Yes.
With various signs and realities and reality checks. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
1000%.
For sure.
Interesting. So and then how did you decide this is the age group? Because I feel I always joke that different age group teachers have very different personalities. And you have such a large range.
They do. This age group chose me, I would say.
Okay.
So I've avoided this age group for a long time.
Yeah, I would too.
Because of a lot of things. But I think, so I wanted to, and still do, teach college, university level.
Oh, cool.
So that's where I think my true, passion lies, is young adults that are wanting to go into the theater business and acting business.
Right.
I get super into that, getting them prepared, getting them understanding who they are and really how to do what it is they're doing. Like, I love talking about theater intellectually. I like talking about theater, like from a critic standpoint. I love watching the Tony Awards and with friends and doing that kind of thing. But I've always taught the young kids. Like, I've always taught that, mainly because that's when you're 18, that's, you're going to teach a theater camp for kids and whatnot. So I became very good at figuring out how to herd, 100+ kids at any kind of workshop, and young kids that were doing that. And so I never taught officially, like in a school system situation, this age group for a very specific reason, because I had my own private studio for about 20 years, and I've always had kids in this age group. But these were kids that were paying to be there, wanted to be there. These were parents that wanted to be there. But what always ruined it was parents for me. Always. That was always the situation, because, especially from my private studio, like, you'd always have them say, like, well, so-and-so down the street charges $50. And I was like, so-and-so down the street is a drug addict and a crackhead. But also, like, she doesn't have my background. She doesn't have my experience. And great, if you want so-and-so down the street, go to so-and-so down the street. But, like, you constantly had to justify the value of what you were doing.
Yeah.
And I hated it.
Yeah.
Which is why I went to get my master's, because I was like, I want to teach college. I want to teach those kids, because I don't have to deal with parents. Mm-hmm. And then, so I ended up graduating, like, a year before the pandemic. And, like, right after, like, a lot of major events. And so, unfortunately, academia is still, while they are on the progressive steps of a lot of things, they are still way backwards when it comes to DEI. And so many of the theater programs are old white men. And so right as I was applying, it was like, we're going to diversify all of our programs. And I was like, as you should. My timing just sucks. And so I probably could book 8 Broadway shows and a movie before I get a job in higher ed.
Wow.
It is that difficult to get hired. And a lot of departments are really just actively looking to diversify. I've been on so many campuses and been a finalist and realized, especially when I see the faculty, and I'm like, oh, you guys need help, and I can't help you. You need you need other perspectives besides mine. So I didn't want to leave New Orleans, and this job popped up, and I was like, all right, let me see if I can make this work, and I love it.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you didn't already have a teaching license, right?
I don't have a teaching license.
You don't have a teaching license?
Nope,
You don't have to have one down here?
Only if you're teaching at a private school.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I did not realize that you were at a private school.
Yes.
Fascinating.
I would never do. Well, I don't want to say never.
But
I will
most
actively
likely will
avoid
not do
a public school.
Bless.
Especially for theater.
Okay.
Because, like, I've read the standards that are out there, and my first graders are already doing advanced, because theater is not something that I think, I mean, anything, I guess, could be quantified, and anything can be like, here are the skills that they should know, but I'm like, okay, but they could also, they can understand so much at a young age. It's just how you present the information. Like, we're doing things that I do with my college students, but I just, not dumb it down, but I just bring it to their level and their mindset. So, like, I know I would get fired in, like, 4 days if I worked at a public school. So I don't.
A lot of things that people don't realize about private schools is that, like, or public versus private, is that even in public schools, like, the teachers don't make the curriculum. Like, the teachers have nothing to do with the standards. The teachers have nothing to do with the curriculum. They teach basically what the state deems is important to teach for each subject.
Right.
Whereas in private schools, the teachers have a little bit more creativity, and they can 100%. Do a little bit more.
I make the entire curriculum.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like that is so beneficial, but it can also be kind of harmful depending on the teacher.
If you have the wrong person in
right,
that. I mean,
exactly.
like I said, I looked at all the standards because I'm not.
Oh, yeah.
I want to make sure that I'm not, doing
absolutely
stupid things, but also to see, like, okay, well, what do you think a first grader should be doing? And there's so much in there that I'm like, oh my gosh, but they already do that. They do that in
make believe.
They do that in their. And so, like, why am I going to double up on that? Like, let's take that concept and take it to the next spot. So I push these kids a lot, but I also don't know how to treat. I am not that. So, like, you were talking about personalities of like, I am not you would never think that I teach young children because I don't treat them like young children because I don't know how to do that. Some people are really great at the 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, all those chanting nursery. I hate them and I can't do them. I just look at the child and I'm like,
what do you want?
Shut up. Stop talking. What's going on? How can I help you? You know, like because I want them to, I don't want them to think of me as Mary Poppins. I want them to think of me as somebody that's like helping them to be the best them. And we have fun, trust, but I'm like, they'll come up and like hug me and I don't know what to do. I just put my hands go up. I'm like, can I help you? You know, and you know, partly also I'm like teaching them about healthy boundaries, all that stuff. But it's like, I'm so not that like, I don't do special claps. I just count backwards from 3 and I'm like, you don't want to know what happens if I get to 1. And so I haven't gotten to 1 yet.
I love that so much. It's almost the exact opposite of me because everyone assumes that I teach elementary and I don't.
Oh.
I couldn't. No, like,
it's hard.
No.
It's hard. It's much better. I will say that. What do you teach?
I taught high school.
Oh, Lord. Oh, my God.
I loved it.
Fired in a minute. High school. I've worked with high school kids so much. And especially with what I do, I would love it. But like, that is so too close to what I really love that it would be too difficult.
I feel that.
It's so easy with the little ones to get them excited and to also plant seeds and also like, okay, you really could do this. Like, that's like, I love seeing that sort of, but like, oh my God, a high school kid. I used to choreograph for a friend who ran a program in Las Vegas when I was living there. And I mean, on the daily, I would say things and I would just go. I remember like in rehearsal, and I wasn't even working at the school. I just worked. I was like an outside contractor, but I'd be like working with a kid, and I'd be like, "Okay, try that again," and you're going to the principal's office. Can I do that? And she's like, "No." And I was like,
"No."
I'm like, so like just so much stuff,
but
and I'm like,
point?
Right. I was like, whatever. But yeah, I knew right away. I was like, I can't.
There's only been one time in my life teaching high schoolers that I ever actually had to kick a kid out of my room. Because I never wanted to be that teacher, but there was one kid that just crossed the line too much.
Yeah.
It was at my second school, and they put me with second semester seniors in an academic class. And I was only 23 at the time. I might have even been 22. I don't know why they felt like that was a good idea. But they did.
Because, they threw you. They threw you.
They really did. Yeah, and there was this one kid that had such a crush. But it wasn't even like an inappropriate, like, oh, I just think you're pretty. Like, this kid really tried to push the line and the boundary. And one day he said something so inappropriate to me. I think, I'm trying to remember his exact words. I think it was something like, I bet I could tell you what kind of girl you were in high school, Ms. Rogers.
Whoa.
And I was so... Get out. Get out of my face. Get out of my room. I don't want to see you for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Get out of my room.
Oh, my God.
Right. Oh,
no.
I always love when they put me with the freshmen. I do not know why they put me with the second semester seniors. I kicked him out. I had an administrator told me that I was being a little too hot-headed. And then literally a day later, COVID lockdown happened. I never saw that kid again.
See, that's such a... That's also why I'd be fired, because I would tell... because here's what admin don't understand, is that there is no way to generally, like, give people... like, an admin could look at you and say that was bad classroom management.
Right.
And whereas I look at it and say,
that's bad parenting.
I have boundaries that I don't cross or deal with. So once you do... It's not my problem anymore.
Yeah.
It's your problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they don't teach the kid. That's what they don't tell the kid, that next step.
Yeah.
Because it's like, we can argue the semantics of what you're doing in your room, but that's not up for debate. It's your room.
Exactly.
It's your boundaries as a person.
Yes.
Someone crossed that. Now, admin's job is to say exactly that.
Yes.
Not you're wrong or bad, kid. Because, like, again, that's subjective in theory, right? But it's their job to say, you crossed a boundary that's your teacher's boundary that you need to respect. So now I'm going to deal with you. Like, ew. They totally gaslight you.
No, 1,000%. But, like, that's all that admin does half the time.
I can't. I have great admin, luckily. I
love that for you.
It's a very open door, and I don't get hot-headed. I believe, like, what you bring into a room is what you get back. So, like, a lot of times but I also give people roadmaps. So, like, if I'm crazy, I will go in and be like, I'm crazy right now. I need you to just listen. and then talk me down. Like, I'm very, like, hopefully communicative with people and how to deal with me in a moment. So I usually tell my admin when I'm, like, insane, I'm like, I'm insane, I need help right now. Like,
I love that they're supportive.
So,
like,
they really are. I mean, I'm lucky like that. Again, I don't know how it is in a public school, except that I know I probably would be fired in 3 minutes because I would be sending kids to them every day.
Because I have so many. I was gonna save this for like the end of the episode. But maybe
I'm so sorry if I derail everything.
No.
Okay.
I don't have a roadmap. I told you I'm a very unserious person.
I love it.
And I usually just throw all my plans out the window because.
But it's good to have them.
Yes, I will have a plan. Yes. So like you are an openly gay man in the classroom.
Yes. No.
Okay.
Here's what. So to make it even more little complicated,
I'm ready.
I teach at a Catholic school.
Interesting.
But I teach at a Jesuit school, and I make the difference because I went to a Jesuit high school.
Right.
And so I went to the Jesuits are let's just say the most intelligent Catholics, and they are really at the forefront of bridging the gap between the LGBT community and the Catholic Church.
Right.
I loved my experience in Jesuit high school. I would never, ever trade it for anything in the world. In terms of my own like religiosity and spirituality and religion and all that stuff like that, I don't practice Catholicism anymore. But when I took the job and I met with the priest and, who's our pastor, he's amazing. And I said, first of all, you know that I know probably the catechism better than your entire clergy, like and parish. Like I went to impeccable schooling that really taught me the theology of the Catholic Church. So, and I said, I can't really argue with anything that Jesus said he tells us all to be wonderful people. Like that's his message. Like he didn't talk about any of the political stuff. He didn't talk about gay. He didn't talk about abortion. He didn't talk about any of that stuff. He talks about being better, treating your neighbors well, feeding the poor. Like who's going to argue with that? Like
right.
That's pretty much the cornerstone of just how to be a good dude. So right. I was like, so I can't argue with any of that. But I'm like, but I said, here's what I won't do. I don't have an agenda. I don't think there is no gay agenda. And if there is, I certainly am not on the email list. So, but I was like, I don't have an agenda. I said, but I will never lie. Mm-hmm. I was like, I spent too long in the closet so if someone were to ever ask me, I would always answer yes. I said, I live openly. I have a partner. I have a social media presence. These are things that I'm not giving up. So if you want me, I said, but I think if you look at what I do on social media, and I've always kind of had this thing, like, I doubt many people would not know that I was gay, but like, it's not who I am. I used to joke, it's not who I am, it's who I do. Like, it's part of me. It is not all of me. So,
yeah, absolutely.
But it's weird now because it's of everything that is happening, in the world. But the only reason I say that I'm not like open in the classroom is because I never want to be the front line for information for kids unless it's theater related.
Okay.
So
yeah.
If a first grader doesn't know what being gay is, I am not the one to have that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I respect parents too much to know that that's their turn. However, if they were to say, who is Mr. Brett? Because Mr. Brett works on the plays with me, I would say that's my partner. I mean, I don't use the word boyfriend with them because I don't even know if I like that word. I hate the word partner because I'm like, this is our law firm, gay and gay. You know what I mean? Like, it's so stupid. But I'm like, there needs to be a better word. But it's like, what's the other option? Lover, which is like even worse. Like, that's my lover. Like, I'm like, what are we gonna say to like a first person? Be like, what? Like, so I do like that's that hard line.
Yeah, absolutely.
That.
Hey guys. I think most of y'all would agree with me when I say you can only really express your true self with your closest friends. My friends know me inside and out, and because of that, I can share anything with them. But friendships, like anything else, can be kind of hard to keep up with when life gets crazy. It can be schools, chores, jobs, or even when a best friend moves and has to change schools. Luckily, Instagram is here to save the day because they allow me to create close friends lists that allow me to send stories to just my besties. Like, maybe it's a funny meme that I found while scrolling, or maybe it's that photo I took while I was ugly crying during that sappy rom-com. I love being able to share that easily with just close friends to give them a laugh. Of course, there are times I love sharing photos to stories with all my followers, whether it's a group photo from a birthday dinner out or a group family photo from a beach vacation. But that video of me being chased by a pigeon while at said beach? Yeah, I'm gonna keep that one for just my close friends. There's a saying that goes, it's just the little things, and I swear it's still true. Because thanks to Instagram, I can share that everyday ridiculousness with my close friends. Finding ways to keep up with friends can be challenging. Life comes at you fast, and it can be hard to stay in touch. That's why I love Instagram. It makes it so much easier to stay in touch with my friends, even when we're states and sometimes even countries apart. I basically share everything with them. If I'm going on a trip, I'm gonna take them along. If I have a song stuck in my head, I'm gonna share it with them with a music sticker on my stories. Sometimes when I'm feeling nostalgic, I'll tag my friends in an old photo of us just to let them know that I'm thinking about them, or share a song that reminds me of them. It could be a song that reminds me of our childhood together, or it could just be a song that's an inside joke that only they will understand. Whether it's through a music sticker or a funny reel or a story. It usually gives them a good laugh, and it allows us to reminisce about the good memories together. It's just a really great way for my friends and I to bond, whether we're really busy or even just super far apart. And I'm so glad that Instagram gives us the outlet to do that. There's that old saying that goes, it's just the little things, and I swear it's still true. And I'm so glad that I can enjoy those little things with Instagram and my close friends.
Have you have you come into any issues in the classroom because of it with parents?
No, so I think most of the parents followed me on social media before I started at the school.
Awesome.
So I feel like I have never had a problem directly.
That's great.
I will say the shield of social media has been, I think parents are afraid to talk to me because they're afraid they'll end up in a video, which is kind of a double-edged sword. It's kind of amazing, but it's also
I'm not scary.
Struggling, right? Because you're sort of like, well, what aren't you telling me then? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I'm like, I want that's part of me, but my job is also to be your kid's teacher. So if there's an issue, you can come to me.
Absolutely.
And I know how to weed out. I don't tell stories about parents. I've only told one, and it was a story because this woman almost ran me over. But I didn't know it was a parent, and she didn't know that she was going to run me over. And I turned around, and she backed up, and she lowered the window and said, "Oh my God, Mr. Greg, please don't put me in a TikTok." And I thought that was hilarious. So I put it in a TikTok, and I said, well, I kind of have to tell that story now because
it's amazing.
I love that your first thought wasn't, I'm sorry I almost killed you. You were worried that it was so. But no, I haven't run into, oddly, there have been people that follow me or it's been people that are not in the community that have reported me to the archdiocese.
Interesting.
But it's been outside people, not community people, but that there's a gay teacher, which again makes me be like, so you clearly don't know your own catechism because it's hate the sin, not the sinner. Remember, love. So you're allowed to be gay, you just can't, you're not supposed to act on it is a traditional ruling. But it's
that's
you don't know what's happening in my life. You don't know what's, what vows I may have taken.
That's wonderful though that you haven't felt that kind of issue at work or anything like that, because I always...
No, my colleagues are amazing.
Oh, I love that for you
and
so much.
That's New Orleans though, I feel I mean,
I get that. Well, I never would have even thought, because I would assume, being down south, way down south in Louisiana, I was like, wow, I wonder what his experience with that has been. But now that you mentioned New Orleans,
he was just saying this is a anything goes town, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
It really does translate in so many ways. So again, have I'm very lucky, and I don't take that for granted. I have such a good faculty base that they are supportive, they love it. And we have a great time together, and so I think there may be some people, but nobody's ever decided to. And I think they also probably at this stage of the game know better than to do something dumb like that, because, that would just not end well for them, I don't think.
Yeah,
But,
well, I had a few people submit some stories about some experiences that they had at their schools. One person sent me a story about how it was a younger man, gay man, who just got engaged and was so excited, really wanted to tell his middle schoolers because he's engaged and he loves his middle schoolers and just wants to celebrate with him, right? Well, the next day, he's approached by the principal and says, "Hey, I heard that you told your class that you proposed to your boyfriend. And we've already had some parents complaining. They're freaking out, very frustrated that you're pushing a gay agenda, making it feel like it's a very normal thing. Maybe we just don't, talk about our personal lives to the students." And this teacher looked at the principal and said, "Well, didn't Karen Smith next door just announce last week to her class that she's pregnant?" And he's, "Well,
she don't gonna need to announce it in 3. I got two teachers on my floor that literally popped in like a week.
Right.
And
That's
they
crazy.
are like, you can't, that's why the don't say gay bill, I mean, sorry, I don't know where
no, it's
we're
okay,
gonna
you
go
can do
here.
whatever. I don't care."
I don't think the people that are pushing it, because, the language of these bills doesn't actually say gay. It says that it literally says you don't talk about sexuality. Well, that's both ways, sweetheart.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like,
having a baby.
I said,
we know what that
the
means.
ring. Look at the ring. I just got engaged. Like, I was like, "Hon, if you really want to pass that bill, just wait." Because I said, and I told my whole faculty this, because, we sometimes talk politics, but normally we don't. But I said, I hate to say it, y'all, but I go, if that bill passes, I'm coming for all y'all. And they were like, "What?" I go, "Oh, that picture of you and your husband? I'm coming for that picture. Off. I'm coming for any time when you pop, girl, you better be in a moo-moo so big that I don't notice that you're pregnant. You better not talk about your pregnancy." I go, that's how it's going to go. Because I want them to understand how asinine that is.
It is.
Right? And I go, because if I can't talk, which I go, look, you shouldn't be talking. I don't think we should be. I go, but if these are natural questions, like,
Right.
"Mrs. Rogers, why did you suddenly gain 100 pounds overnight?" "Oh, it's because I'm pregnant. And if you don't know what that is, then ask your parents." But it's,
Right. No, that's the whole point. And that was the teacher's whole point. He asked the principal, he's like,
Yeah.
"I announced that I'm getting married. This teacher just announced to her class of middle schoolers, 'Hey, me and my husband,
we're banging,' and it worked, right?
and I'm not pregnant."
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense why one is okay and one's the other. And you just reminded me of another one.
Oh my God,
How
this is awful.
this other teacher, this woman, had a wife, and it was the meet the parent night, right? And all she had was a photo of her and her wife on her desk. And this one parent just blew a gasket. Could not fathom why on earth she would have a photo of her wife on her desk. Like, it was on their wedding day. And she ended up complaining to the principal, and instead of actually standing up for the teachers, just made a staff-wide rule that no one could have any photos of their family, of their spouse, of their kids, parents, nothing. No one could have anything. Instead of
The
just
only
telling the parent
kudos to F off.
F
I mean,
off.
I mean, the only kudos I will say, at least they made it for everybody,
Yes,
and it wasn't.
but I still hate
but
it. I
it's
still
so
hate
stupid.
it.
It's so well, and also it just it empowers this narrative that it's us against parents, which I hate.
It
I'm
shouldn't
like,
be.
we are literally on the same team, playing different positions.
I always say, and I try to say especially in like my teacher episodes, that
Mm-hmm.
like the most interactions that teachers have with parents are usually neutral. Like, they're not good or bad.
Right,
Most
right,
interactions
right.
with parents are so neutral. Like,
Because we don't
90%.
teach them.
No, we don't see them.
Right.
And then there's like 5% that are like really good interactions where they're like really appreciative and really sweet, and they'll bring you little presents and you just love those parents.
Uh-huh.
And then there's 5% of parents that are just so awful.
Do you want to know what they have in common?
What?
They're both over-involved.
Yes.
And I love,
Yes.
trust me, I have
Okay.
I have an amazing support staff at school. They're awesome. I call them my mamateers. I've got moms. I would not be able to do my shows without these moms.
Yes.
Now, they're over-involved in a healthy way.
Yes.
They volunteer, they show up, they help out, they do so much. This is my theory. It's like,
Yes.
why are these parents like, so it's the other end, it's the yin to that yang. And so it's parents that are over involved, to an unhealthy way,
Yes.
meaning they nitpick conversations, or they take the word of a 6-year-old, as opposed to understanding that there's probably truth in here somewhere, but it's definitely not the way this child said that.
Right.
So let me investigate that.
Yes.
And let me figure out. But they don't have that button that tells them, like, I should maybe, this is okay if I don't. It's okay
Right.
that I don't investigate that further. Like,
Yes.
And so I don't know. I feel like, yeah, they're both.
Well, a lot of them don't even like bother to use any kind of common sense thinking or any kind of research anyways. Like, I did a skit on this one a little while ago, but it was just so funny to me. Okay, so this one school was taking the kids on a field trip, right?
Okay.
And they were taking the kids to Walden Pond to learn about, who was it, Henry David Thoreau?
Yeah.
Or Edgar Allan Poe? One of the two.
Thoreau.
I can't remember. Thoreau. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And this mom just came to the school having an absolute conniption fit. These teachers are indoctrinating my kid and trying to take them on a field trip about transgenderism and teaching these kids about being trans, and it's just unacceptable, and I can't believe that you're bringing them. And this teacher said, ma'am,
Transcendentalism is not transgender. Uh-huh.
Transcendentalism is a literary movement.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, I know what trans is. And she's like, I don't think you do.
I don't think you do here.
I don't think you do. And like so many teachers or so many parents are just so convinced that teachers are like have this big agenda for their kids. Ma'am, if I could indoctrinate your kid, they would give me no behavior problems. They would bring me coffee in the morning.
I was about to say, they would be
Like,
bringing me
do
things.
for
I would
me.
have all of your assets would be in my name. Because I would get all your passwords.
Wild to me. Like, I don't think so many parents don't understand that when teachers are leaving the classroom, yeah, as of lately, the kids' behavior is kind of out of control.
It is.
I will say that. But for the most part, like, it's not the kids, it's the parents and the admin that are making people run for the hills.
It's the structure that they don't have control over.
Exactly.
I want to know when it became kosher for parents to assume that teachers don't know what they're doing.
Yes.
This is like the only profession where I have, like I recently had a couple call me, and it was and I want to say they're both attorneys.
Less.
Which is rock your world.
Yeah,
But I was
yeah.
like, look, we have the same amount of education, love. Mm-hmm. So I have my terminal degree, you got yours. Like, we both got hooded. Oh, wait, you didn't. Because you didn't. But it's like, but I'm like, so, and we had a disagreement on a theoretical issue. And I was like, well, unfortunately, I don't agree, so we'll agree to disagree. But it was the way in which like, I wanted to be like, look, I know my limitations about what I know. I am not busting into your law firm. I object. Like, that's as much as I know. Like, to tell you how to do your job. I understand that it's your kid. I understand that you have a vested interest in understanding what it is I do, but you will never understand what I do the way I do it and the way I know it. Unless you go through what I went through.
Exactly.
So, and that's the problem. Like, I have another theory that as like, when we become adults, we immediately, we spend 18 years in school forced. And the minute you become 18 and you have that label of adult, we just stop learning because it's like, we're done.
Yes.
We're done.
I hate that. And in reality, you're at the beginning of your life.
100%. You should be at the beginning of your learning. You learned all the crap you told you were supposed to learn.
Right.
That you had to learn.
Right.
But at the end of the day, 90% of it we don't use.
1,000%.
I don't use algebra at all.
Never,
I mean,
never.
I could figure out a way. I could figure out a way.
Osmosis during the day?
Right,
No,
right.
absolutely
I could
not.
figure out a way to fit, like, oh, I guess maybe I use it. But, like, we don't use the majority of that. But there's something that, like, at 18, where it's like I've been wanting to do a video on this forever, and I just can't figure out kind of how to get into it. But, like, everything we teach kids, adults don't do and suck at it. Like, they just like all of those like good things. Like, I mean, like I I've got spies in all of the parent groups that text me. And that's what I love. They think that they're being
Sneaky.
No, girl. I see all them text screenshots. I know exactly what you think about me. And I only do that to be like, because no one talks to me. No one emails me. Exactly. So I'm like, girl, what's the pulse? Like, whatever. And, you know, they'd be like, ooh, you better prepare. And I'm like, but I don't get an email. So I'm just like, well, they're just going off. But like, I wonder, like, when did my parents would never, ever have taken gone to bat the way I see some of these parents go to bat. And it's like, truly, my only agenda is to make your kid better at theater and understand the skills that I'm trying to teach them better. That is my only agenda. If they came home and asked you questions about Phantom of the Opera, it's because I used it as a teaching tool, not because I'm trying to make your child gay. And trust me, if I were, we wouldn't start with Phantom. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, that's where I'm just like, where did it go crazy? Like, I'm sure there are, like, we all know these, like, awful teachers that did stupid things, but they're in every profession. They're in every profession. Unethical people. Like, I just read that there was a priest in Philadelphia or in Pennsylvania that just got kicked out for misappropriating almost $500,000 in funds, 40,000 of which was playing Candy Crush.
Yeah.
And online slots on his phone. I'm like, what? You know, so I'm like, there's bad people everywhere.
Yes, there are unfortunate nurses, police officers, sanitation workers, construction workers. Like, there are people who try to get away
CEOs,
with so many things
all of it.
Every single profession.
But, like, I don't ever think about, like, people sitting back like Mr. Burns, like, what can I destroy the mind of a child with today? Like, I don't know. I just was like, at the beginning of every year, I was like, and I know that there's all these fun teacher sayings like, if you believe half of what your kid says about me, I'll believe half of what they say about you. And it's like, no, let's just be adults about this and be human beings about this. But let's also realize that the common denominator we have is an 8-year-old.
Yes.
So there is some deciphering of what we have to do. And with, you know, all of that. But it's like, if you're not willing to admit fault, and if you're not willing to admit that your child could possibly be an asshole, then we're at a point where you can't have that conversation.
Yeah.
And that's not a reflection of you.
No.
You know what I mean? As a parent, like, I say this all the time, I don't want kids. I never wanted children. Mm-hmm. I thought for a minute I did, and then I realized that that's not my journey. That's not, well, it's not what I want. I don't want that. So I don't understand, like, that whole, like, but I if you can't admit that, like, you could do everything right and still get Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah. So, like, that's why I'm saying it's not always a reflection of you. So, like, take that off your shoulder. So when you get a note that your kid is being unruly or whatever, instead of taking it personally, which is, first of all, the first 4, you know, of the 4 agreements, it's the first one, and I try to live my life by those. Like, stop taking it. I didn't say, dear Mrs. Jones, you suck as a mom because your kid was a jerk today. All I was telling you is, hey, your kid was a jerk today, and I'm letting you know in case they come home and tell you whatever. I want you to have the story of whatever. And I rarely email parents because I handle it in the room and I give them that room to grow.
Yes.
And it's not a problem unless it is a problem. And then when it is a problem, usually I go, admin, you take over because this is above my pay grade. You know, like, we had some stuff happen this year, but it's like, I don't know. I could go on forever about this.
I could the exact same way. And, like, I started teaching when I was very young, and I have a young-looking face, and I'm very small. So, like, I would get more flack than usual.
And you probably got steamrolled.
I did. Well, then I also, like, I'm much more outspoken than people expect me to be.
Okay.
Like, I will be like, no, don't speak to me that way. And they don't expect it.
They don't.
And that just makes them more mad.
It does, because you're literally like, I'm a teacher. I'm literally teaching your children to respect people. So I didn't think I was going to have to teach you, but I will not be afraid to do so.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even begin. I don't even know which stories I haven't told yet. You know what I mean? Of, like, just some of the craziest individuals. Like, this one lady I'll never forget. I don't even know which one to pick. Like, I remember this one lady, and I had so many issues with her and her child. Like, just some of the craziest things that, like, you can't convince me that you're being serious. Like, you have to know how ridiculous you sound. Like, her son, we had a lot of problems with this one kid. And most of my stories from my first year teaching are from this one kid, this one child. He was in my 4th period class. And, like, one example is we used to, we were taking this test, a unit test, and he wouldn't stop on the desk. And, like, other kids are trying to focus. And
yeah.
I understand that he also had ADHD, so, like, he's also struggling, focusing. They're trying to figure out what medication works for him. I get that. But the result is he's keeping other kids from being able to focus on their test.
Right. That doesn't give you carte blanche to...
Exactly. Like, I understand that you're struggling, but
right.
you can't keep other... Like, that doesn't mean that I can allow you to keep other kids from also being
right.
able to focus. And so I told him, you're going to have to stop. You're going to have to stop. Wouldn't listen. I had to put him in a different classroom because the other kids were coming up to me complaining, I can't focus on this essay.
Yeah.
Because he's being so... loud, so I had to put him in my friend's classroom who had planning that period and let him finish there. And I had to email the parent. Well, he wants to be a drummer one day, and are you telling him that he's not good enough to pursue this dream?
Oh my God.
What do you mean?
Oh my God.
That's not the problem here.
No, right.
What is, like, are you hearing yourself?
No, that's
like,
the problem. They're not. They're not.
Or like the same lady, I kid you not, went off on me in an email weeks later about, I'm just so disappointed in you, and I don't even want my kid in your class anymore, because you're not taking the initiative to really help my child with his severe medical disabilities. It's ADHD,
right.
Which, again, I understand very well, because I have it.
Right.
I know, which is why I'm understanding of why he's banging on the desk.
It's also
and I understand why he's getting up every 2 seconds, but it doesn't change the fact that you're keeping other kids distracted.
Is it actually a disability? Has ADA claimed ADHD?
Yes.
Is it on a list of a disability?
I'm pretty positive it is.
Okay.
Which, yes. And ADHD, depending on how severe, can be debilitating, especially when he's not on the right kind of medication.
Totally.
And they were trying to figure that out. So I'm sure he was feeling all out of whack. It doesn't change the fact that I have 42 children in this one class.
Right.
And one can't rule the entire room and distract everyone else.
Well, that's like when everyone gets a concession or an IEP to be in the front. And I'm like, I have 3 front seats. How do I do this?
I don't know.
How do I make, I mean, granted, in the theater, I end up having more, but I'm like, okay, but I only have 14. If 18 kids are asking for, a special to be...
an IEP to be in the front row, I physically do not have the space to make all of these accommodations.
See, this is why, like, I feel like theater, I want... if I were ever to go into an admin position, like, I'm actually doing a couple, like, professional developments next year, like speaking wise, and like one of my like pleas to admin is to like take an acting class and take the approach of like what I don't think parents get is that there's so many lessons, there's so many ways to teach a lesson, right? And like if your kid is having an issue with the teacher and it's really personality based, take the loss on both sides. As a parent, like step in, and this is where you're like, look, dude, you are going to come into contact with so many different types of people. This is this person's hot button. You're not wrong. Like I get a lot of flack from followers when I talk about, if I ever talk about how like chatty Kathy's in my room, and I don't know if you've seen it lately. There's like all these like, hey, were you the talkative kid in class? Where are you now? And people are like, I'm thriving. I sell Mary Kay. I'm a CEO. You're like, great, good for you. You were probably still an asshole in that first grade class. And you probably shouldn't have been doing that. And here's the deal. The reason you shouldn't have been doing it is not because talking's bad or because whatever. It's because those were the boundaries that teacher set. You can argue all day to try to change that sort of curriculum or that whatever, but that's the structure that teacher set. Just like when you go to a job, Your boss is going to have a set of structures. The CEO is going to have a set of structures. The HR will have a set of structures of what you can and can't do.
Like, you would never go into the boardroom where your boss is presenting and just sit there and, like, talk over him or get up out of your chair.
Right.
Or bang on the desk.
Right.
Like, that's unacceptable.
You would interrupt people. All these things that you just, like, are trying to teach them. But,
and
like,
it's the respect thing. It's because they lack the respect for the teacher at the front of the room.
But these parents are so afraid of their kids failing. And I say it at every meeting with parents at the beginning of the year. I'm like, let your kid fail with me. Fail now. Fail hard. Because I'm not only going to just fail them, but I'm going to teach them why they failed. I'm going to teach them how not to do it again. And I'm going to teach them about, like, what did we learn? Because that's where growth happens. And especially in theater, I'm like, you have to fail all the time. Like, get up, try it. That was awful. That was embarrassing. Yeah. Well, the next time won't be. You know, because I had a girl 2 years with me that refused to ever get up on stage. And I finally had to call mom. And she's got severe anxiety. I go, she is in second grade. We all have anxiety. I understand hers might be at a different level, but you are empowering her to never get on that stage because you keep reminding her that she has severe anxiety. I go, well, now you're making me anxious because I'm like, look, I've dealt with I have ABA therapy. I've worked with kids with autism. I'm like, specifically, I get all the things. Theater helps them, you know, but you end up fighting so much on the theoretical, like what my classroom is, how my classroom is set up. And I'm like, yeah, see, that's not up for debate with you, Mom. What's up for debate is how we deal with the situation and your kid. And I just wish parents were able to take a little more perspective, a little less about, oh, like, you're failing my kid or it's your fault or whatever. And just say, all right, dude, I don't like this teacher. You don't like this teacher. We got to get through the year. Here are her hot buttons. Here are his boundaries. Let's just stay within that lane and know. And the lesson I'm teaching my kid is you're going to come into contact with people that you don't get along with and you don't mesh with. And that's okay.
The lesson.
That's the lesson.
Happens.
And the lesson is, oh, no, you are right. My kid is right. You're wrong. And so now what you're teaching your kid is that they're not respecting authority. They're not respecting other people's boundaries. They're not taking responsibility or culpability for anything they're doing because they're perfect. They're perfect. They can't do wrong.
You just made me think of such a good connection. There's such a correlation that I don't think people understand, right? We just talked about how parents are literally teaching their children, you don't have to respect teachers. They're not teaching them the fact that, hey, sometimes you're just interacting with people that you don't like.
Right.
Like, they are literally teaching them you don't have to listen to authority. Teachers, doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. You can do whatever you want because you're amazing, you're an angel, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But then when those same kids get to the workforce, we have, oh, this younger generation, like, they're so disrespectful and they don't, blah, blah. You created it.
Yeah.
You told your kids that they don't have to listen to anybody.
Right.
You told your kids that they don't have to, that the rules don't apply to them and they don't have to do anything. And now that they're your employees, now that these same kids that you encourage to do whatever they want in the classroom, because it's only teachers, it's just schools, who cares? Now you hate them working for you because they don't do anything. They don't do their work. You say that they're unmotivated. They don't get their stuff done. They're lazy. They talk out of turn. They're too entitled. Who taught them to do that?
Right.
You guys did.
Yes. By not teaching them the lesson at home that they need to learn. Not that they're bad.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know how to prevent a chatty kid from being chatty.
Right.
Other than telling them, in my room, you don't do that. Mm-hmm. I don't care what you do in other rooms, and we don't need to have a homogenized school-wide policy on when we chat and how we chat. I mean, it's like a reality show, a school is. It's like, here's the teacher, there's that. You've got the quirky librarian, you've got the whatever, you've got the, the really smart this and you're teaching children also how to socialize and how to deal with people. And so when you get to that point, because look, there may be teachers that are absolutely in the wrong.
Right.
And doing stupid.
Absolutely.
And have it out for kids. Yes. I always tell kids, I don't care about you enough to think about you at home, y'all. And I'm like, and that's not mean. I want you to know because I go, that you don't either.
Yes.
So, like, let's not hyper moralize me. Do I care? I care about you with every ounce of my being when I am in the room with you and I am here with you. And I won't lie, when I'm home, because I work on so much, is home.
Yes.
But on a Saturday, when I'm living my life, I don't care enough about you to think about you then. And I hope you understand that I mean that with every ounce of love and every ounce of, because there are 500 of you.
Yes.
And no one can possibly think like that and feel like that. And the ones that say they do are liars and thieves, and I don't trust them. I don't trust them.
And are there probably adults, a few adults in teaching who are unwell and do just have it out for some kids?
Yes.
I'm sure.
100%.
1,000%. As in every other profession.
And those people, there's a way to make sure that those people get out of the classroom.
Yes, there are. But and in general, for regular teachers, I have my own friends. I have my own family. I love you from the hours of 7 o'clock to 3 o'clock during the day. I don't care enough about you for you to encompass my brain all the time. I don't think about you enough to sit, how can I ruin Connor's day
Right, exactly. Exactly. That's what they think we do. We're sitting home and I'm like, haha. But I always say, if that attorney that called me wouldn't take a client phone call on their vacation in Cabo, why do you expect me to answer an email while we're on Christmas vacation?
Yeah, absolutely.
Same deal, girl. We're not going down that road.
No, I can't. No. Well, I have another question for you that's similar but also kind of different.
I feel like we went on a parent tirade, but I don't want people to think that I hate parents.
No.
I hate
we hate the 5%.
Yeah,
the 5% of
the
parents.
bad interactions with parents really ruin it because they make, and especially with the GroupMes and the Facebook groups, they rally. The parents can't just have that one-on-one anymore, and they can't own their own feelings. They have to feel validated. So it just poisons communities when you get one parent in there. Can you believe Mr. Greg did this? Blah, 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 blah. And you're like, girl, you could have just come to me.
Crazy.
We could have
Actually, you made me think of another story, but this was my story. This was something absolutely wild and unhinged. So I taught social studies, right? And in some classes, I taught some classes of world history, I taught some classes of American history, I taught world religions, and I taught civics and economics.
Okay.
All different years. And one time, I think this was in my civics class, we were looking at different monumental court cases, right?
Nice.
And I can't remember the exact name of the case. I think it was something versus New York or whatever it was.
Okay.
But it was the court case about prayer in school.
Interesting.
And so we were looking at the idea of the First Amendment and the court arguing prayer in school, blah, 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 X, Y, Z. And so we did talk about that during the day. And all of a sudden, I get a parent that wants to have a conference with both me and the principal. No context, no nothing, just immediately demanding a meeting. And so I obviously went to this meeting, and this parent just starts laying into me. Because all these schools in the South just want to push Christianity on their kids, and so tired of it, and me and my whitewashing isn't going to have any of that, and how dare I try to force her kid to pray in school, because we talked about prayer in school, blah, 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 and at the end she says, what do you have to say for yourself? And I said, I'm Jewish.
Right.
Ma'am, we just looked at a court case.
Shabbat is at sundown on Friday. We're not even in school, so I can't even.
Pinky promise.
Right?
I'm not trying to bring your kid to church because I'm not going either.
Right.
These parents, and I said that story because I just want to make it clear. It's not one side or another. All around, there are so many different parents that just get so overprotective.
Yeah.
Their imagination is a little bit too out there, and they won't ask questions before they jump.
Right.
And they won't look into things, and they won't do research. They just immediately just
attack. Because they can.
Yeah.
Because of this. Because of, you couldn't get the reason our parents didn't is because they couldn't get a hold of these teachers.
Yes.
So without sending a smoke signal or putting a snail mail letter through. So the accessibility is a problem.
Yeah.
It's way too much of a problem.
I hate that they created Remind.
I don't know what Remind is.
Remind is like an app that allows you to text teachers on their phone without getting their actual phone numbers. I hate it.
Nope, I would not. You don't get that access to me.
Mm-mm.
You don't get that access to me.
Mm-mm.
You get the school because it's your kid, but I teach your kid 40 minutes once a week. Mm-hmm. You don't get to text me whenever you want to. Absolutely not. No.
Crazy.
And yeah, oof.
It's okay. Yes. I'll ask you the other question now.
Yes.
Unless you had something else to say. You look like you had
No, I was going to say, the interactions where there's been a problem, where parents came to me with grace, I met them with grace.
Yes,
where
always.
they came with me with like okay,
snappy snap.
This had a really bad this happened, and I really can you tell me what happened? And I'm concerned about this. Yeah, let me de-escalate what you have interpreted and or heard, because anything to an 8-year-old is either their first or most intense time, because they're 8, or 6 or whatever. So yes, I get it. They're going to come home with like, oh, Mr. Brandon fell, it's going to get in trouble. And it's like, no, I said, you're going to get a 0.
This is similar, but still different, because we were talking about how difficult parents really make things. Mm-hmm. You're in an elective field.
Yes.
Do you find that there's ever a time, at least for you, where other colleagues or the schools are making your job more difficult because you're in an elective field?
Yes, but I don't know if it's my situation is really more of a schedule thing.
Okay.
So I don't think it's on purpose. I don't think it's intentional.
Okay.
But we are always the first class to get cut.
Yeah.
We are always the first class to be like, oh, you don't have to teach it. And I think in the past they never had a theater program before me, so I started the theater. They had someone came in to do a show, but they never actually had class and a curriculum and whatnot. But the other enrichment teachers that were there, they I think they just were not really that into it. So the attitude was like, oh, you don't have to teach today. And so they were probably like, oh, great, I have a free period. And I'm like, if I live a mile and a half from school, so if I don't have to be here, then I'm going to be at home. I'm not just hanging out. Trust me, lots of other things I would rather be doing and can be doing. So a lot of the struggle this year, and they're totally aware of this. So if they were to see this, they would not be like, you never said. I literally went and told them this. It was really just I need to know when I'm not teaching. I need to know this in advance, because I need to plan my syllabi around.
Absolutely.
Do I have a 6? Am I only seeing my middle schooler electives 6 times this trimester, or am I seeing them 12 like I thought I was? So how?
Absolutely.
So there was, I think, sort of I will say some teachers just needed a little readjusting on the way that they're looking at it. A lot of times, I think, again, they probably had janky teachers that were like, we're just gonna play in theater, or whatever. So I have a lot of teachers, there's kids that were telling me oh, my teacher told me that I have to wait till electives to use the bathroom. And I was like, I'm not the bathroom class. I see you once a week for 40 minutes. Do the math. That teacher sees you all day, almost every day. Where are you going to pee? My class or theirs? Let's use logic here. Right. Their class. Thank you. So tell your teacher that's incorrect. And if they have any other statements about my class, they'll just come to me. Because you don't want to put the kid in the middle. But no, I'm lucky in that way. Why? Why do you ask? Because have you had?
So I always taught social studies, but I've had friends that have taught elective classes that have gotten comments from students and parents and even other teachers about feeling like their class was less important than other classes.
Oh, wow.
Which is so sad.
In high school, I guess I can understand in high school, because they're so close to, they're dealing with so much that's about the future with college. So testing and getting into college. Well, it totally is. But because I have the opposite experience, because our electives are for a kid, or
right.
I just taught film production, and video editing. So we did music videos. I'm teaching broadcast journalism. So for a 5th grader who has never really thought about these things, it's oh, we're going to learn. We're going to go to the local, because we're on Loyola's campus. So we have a partnership with Loyola University. So we get to use their news studio. So it's we have a we're going to have a news program now where the kids get to go and film it like they're on an actual channel. Like, we have really cool electives. So, like, I think we definitely see the value, and the faculty do. And I think in high school probably, I guess not that I'm justifying it, but I can see how teachers would be like, creative writing is so dumb. Teaching AP physics, mine's more important. Like, and you're like,
it just depends on, like...
Depends on the kid, and no.
Right, it depends on the kid, because, like, sure, AP Physics is going to be really important to a lot of kids, especially those who are planning on using that AP class as a college credit.
Right. Or using physics in the future.
Right. Whereas, like, kids who are really into maybe creative writing or drama or some other electives
100%
might not be going to college and might be instead looking towards some other kind of career path where they don't need AP Physics.
No.
And, like, it's so weird to me because teachers are usually, at least nowadays, so on board with, well, it's not just college, but, like, they're not understanding their internal, like, bias with that also of, like, seeing electives as lesser. Well, no, you're just seeing the classes that are more beneficial in the college setting as more, but that's not necessarily accurate for
you're seeing the weight.
Every kid.
Right.
Yeah.
But also, like, this is where admin could come involved, because I'm like, for all of the, if, like, the doctors, like, now one of the number one ways out-of-work actors are making money is by playing patients, because the doctors that are in medical school right now are so awful with their bedside manner and have no personal skills. And I'm like, maybe if you took a creative writing class, like, all these people that go into these heavy math and science related fields where there are so many objective answers, like 2 + 2 is 4, and we're not going to fight about that. Whereas in my world, there is no right and wrong. There's only effort. Like, adding in a balance of my class for those people would be probably so beneficial for them, because it's like, give your brain a break.
Yes. Another example is, like, do you know how many jobs are offering, like, positions with higher salaries if you can speak multiple languages?
Yeah.
Like, take advantage of those classes in high school, man. Like, that is a salary increase. That's a bonus that so many people, like, they're struggling because, so I know this because when Avery was applying to law jobs, so many different positions for lawyers were looking for bilingual attorneys. And there's just such a need, and it wasn't really pushed as much as it should have been in high school.
Well, and it's one of those things that's like, you spend so much money and time learning about the actual law and all of that, but it's something so, not that it's learning a language is easy, but it could be.
It could be if you started early enough.
If you knew that, like, and you could enjoy it. And you could, because that's something you could learn, like, we're going to go to Mexico and we're going to spend a week there because it's A, inexpensive, and B, will immerse you into the culture so much more quickly. And you're going to actually learn something from that. Like, that's a fun way to be learning.
Or another one is, you know, people always have, like, this list of things of, like, well, why didn't we learn that in school? Because that's not in the curriculum.
Right.
It's not the curriculum. It's not the
No, we had an
teacher's
agenda.
job.
We had an agenda.
Well,
it was not on my agenda. Sorry. Curriculum.
You're good. This one school decided to do something different. And they decided to make it mandatory. They created an entire new example of classes. Some that would teach kids, like, how to cook, change tires, like different classes, a few different classes that offered different kinds of life skills. Like home economics was one, foods was one, but they decided to make at least 1 or 2 of these mandatory to graduate. You need some kind of life skills classes to graduate. And you would think, like, I guarantee you in this clip, all these kids are going to be like, oh, that's so great, I love it so much, but I would take it. But in reality, when these kids were forced to take it, these kids and these parents rioted because they were so mad it was being forced, and this is a waste of time, and I can't believe it. Like, in theory, everyone always says in the comment sections, I would love that, blah, blah, blah. But when it happens, and you're actually made to do these things, and the school's actually, okay, I know it's not in our curriculum, and we don't have to teach these things, but we think it's important. Everyone's asking for it. We're going to do it, and everyone's mad. Because
someone said that's a waste of time. And it spread in the parent groups, and then people got outraged about it.
And it's ridiculous. It's like, okay, so you don't want to know
interest rates, taxes, how to do your taxes.
That's already in the curriculum, though. That's already in the curriculum. That's what people don't understand. I taught civics and economics. That's already in the curriculum. It's already there. You just don't come to class.
Right. Well, if that's the case, then yes. I didn't have civics or economics, so I for sure knew that I did not learn about any of that stuff.
Yeah, we have an entire, like, personal finance. Well, so when I taught civics and economics, there was an entire required unit on personal finance and, like, interests and, like, mortgage and credit and all the things. And then the year after I left, they actually cut civics and economics and made one civics and one personal finance. 2 separate classes to expand on it. And people are still saying they don't teach it. No, it's there.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
God.
it's there.
Oh.
It's crazy.
Nope, this is why I can't do high school.
Yes. I loved high school. I liked being able to, like, really be real with the kids. I have a fear that, like, if I was having a day and I was like, I need you to get out of my face. Like, my high schoolers know I don't mean it. And I couldn't deal with, like, if I actually hurt a first grader's feelings.
See, I feel like I would know if first graders. See, that's the funny thing is that they don't have that. Because I totally say that all the time. I joke with them, really for the benefit of, like, the adult assistants that are in the room. Because I do make the kindergarten assistant come to my class just because I'm like, I need an extra set of eyes.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
And hands for sure. But, like, a kid will say something, random, and I'm like, thank you so much for that random fact, Joe. I really appreciate that when it's random fact day, because I want to teach them, hey, I love that you were there, but you're not paying attention to where we are, so I'm going to rope you back. So we do it in a fun way, but, like, I would be too afraid in this era of where we are in the world of being too real with the high school student and them, because they know, they understand, they get the joke, and it would be, again, I'd be fired in 5 days.
I think it's I think that the way that I interacted with kids, if someone else did it, it could be taken the wrong way. Like, I think it goes with your personality, right? Like, I can listen and sit and talk to you and know that you're, like, being sarcastic. I think they would feel that from you.
They would feel the sarcasm, but I would also, but then the sarcasm cuts both ways sometimes, because it only works when it's fun. But, like, sarcasm, like let's say a kid came in late and, they were like, I just made some sarcastic comment like, oh, really, girl?
See, I think they would love it.
No, because then this is the problem. Someone would have a problem with me gendering them, saying girl, even though I'm like, girl, come on. Like, it's such a generic term now. It doesn't actually mean female gender. But, like, that's where I would be so terrified, because I'm like, I don't want parts of those conversations. I have those conversations as adults where we and I support all pronouns, whatever you want me to call you, but I always at the end of the day go, what's your name? Because I'll never be wrong with that.
Yes.
And I could fit that in. I'm such a good grammarian, and with my syntax, I will figure out a way to structure my sentence so that your name is always somehow in there, and I don't have to use a pronoun so I won't get it wrong. Because
I use nicknames.
I always feel like I tried. I had 2 Cecilias in my show, and I called one, oh God, what did I call her? Like Cece, because she had 2 C's, so her first name was a C, last name was a C. But then the second one was also a Cecilia, so I called her Big Mac, because she had a Mac last name, like an MC, like an Irish last name. The mother literally was like, ugh, that nickname. And I literally responded, you know what, way to ruin the fun. I won't be calling her that anymore. I was like,
that's
first of all, your mind went to McDonald's. I wasn't calling her a Big Mac. She's tiny, and she last name has a Mac, an Irish Mac.
Crazy.
So it's a play on words. Your food insecurities took you to the McDonald's place. I didn't go there, girlfriend. So, like, again, sorry, like, that's why I'm like, they just ruin it. They ruin the fun.
I mean, more like, for me, I have the luxury of, like, a small, young Southern lady that if I call someone, hey, sweet one, like, that's not weird. You know what I mean?
But it would be weird in the North.
I'd just be weird in the North.
No, you'd get fired in the North because
really?
You would be
calling someone a sweet.
Because you would because it's so there's so many. So much of it now is semantics too. It's not actually about being offended. It's about being right. So I don't think you should be calling me sweet even though I knew what you meant and I wasn't offended by it, I just don't think you should be doing that. Therefore, I'm going to say something about
My favorite is Sweet Nugget.
Oh, I call the kids by their names. I call them when I'm talking to them, and I joke with them like crazy. They know that I joke with them, but I also, again, I don't do.
See, but I
can't. I'm like, we're not cheering. I'm not a cheerleader. Like, I love anyone that does it. Like, I support all of my colleagues that like are like, all right, like in the hallways, we're catching our bubbles and we're not talking. Like, I'm like,
Friends.
Whatever that is, do it. I love it. Not me. I don't do any of that.
See, the reason that I started using like Sweet One, Sweet Nut, like the little pet names is because I was at some schools that had some very diverse names. And I
remember all of them.
It's not even remembering. I had one kid whose name was Ratchet. And I couldn't say that with a straight face.
Their name was Ratchet?
His name was Ratchet. And I still can't say it with a straight face. And I didn't want to be disrespectful. And I literally was convinced that I was just like saying it wrong. Nope, I wasn't. And so that's when I said, okay, Sweet Nuggets.
Yep.
I'm not saying
it. I have sibling problems. So we have lots of siblings in the school. So I end up calling them all their names, and
that makes sense.
And sometimes they get offended, and so again, teaching moment of like trying to be like, hey, was my intention to hurt you? No, I made a mistake, right? So do I get grace? And they're like, oh, okay. I'm like, you have every right to be upset that I didn't call you your right name.
Right.
Do I die for it? No. So, because I am trying to teach through theater the regulation of emotions, because these kids are crazy. They are either depressed or they are super excited. And I'm like, y'all, can we just be mellow? Which is what we're going to be for the majority of our lives. Like, the majority of your life, you're going to wake up and be like, here we go again.
Another day.
Very neutral. It's like interactions.
Yeah.
90% is neutral.
Right.
5% is really great. 5% is awful.
I feel like kids today are prepared for the crazy on either side. And it's like mirroring our world because our politics are like that. And I'm like, what happened to just chill people that are just here? You be you, I be me. We're not going to get in each other's way. Hell, you may be invited to the shindig, but like, don't make a mess and don't make a scene. Just enjoy this. Like, be like, that's why New Orleans works.
Yeah.
In that sense, if we're bringing it back, which you've been here enough, so.
Yeah. I love New Orleans.
There's no place like it. There is no other place. It's so
unique.
Yeah, and like you don't feel like you're in the U.S.
Yeah.
Especially in this area.
Yeah.
Like the quarter.
Yeah.
You're like, what European novel did I?
Yeah. Like look at this couch we're on.
Yes, I know. And just like the architecture, just it's. I wish more people. I'm surprised how many people have never been here.
Yeah. I think they hear like the French Quarter is great. It can be kind of dangerous like at night, but
that is. We could be one of the top cities in the country if that was dealt with better.
Yeah.
And
agreed.
Because I do think a lot of people are scared at the moment. And I'm not going to lie, it's not safe. I'm not going to lie. I wouldn't feel we have got some major police issues, but it's also don't be stupid.
Yes.
And you know what it is? I have a lot of arrogant friends from the Northeast, and I lived in New York. I lived in Boston. I live in New York. I live in New York. I was like, watch yourself die. And I don't mean that. It's like, so boo-boo, I lived in New York as well for 10 years. I know all the areas. The bottom line is don't be an idiot and walk alone at 1 o'clock in the morning in a place you don't know.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I'm like, ew, how arrogant of you. Like, you live in New York. Oh, do you live in New York? Oh, you do? Where? Oh, that's amazing. And you didn't die? Oh, I love that. It's like I was mugged in freaking West 4th Street, like my third day there, and I learned my lesson. Don't be an idiot.
I love that.
It's like,
you just be smart. Like, just because you lived somewhere else that's also dangerous doesn't mean that the danger doesn't exist here. Like,
not dangerous. Like, New York is one of the safest big cities in the world. Yes, it has had a bad rap since the 80s, but I want to be like, girl, you lived there during Giuliani when Disney got completely Disney-fied. Like, we lived in the best version of New York ever, and you still currently are living in the aftermath of that. So, like, I need you to calm down and relax. That like literally just saw a woman dragged out of her car at a Costco. So like you live in New York. Good for you. Good for you. This is a different world. It's a different. You have to understand it. And again, just don't be looking at weird places or being alone late at night.
Absolutely, as you should.
Yeah, anywhere.
Do you have any last minute thoughts on, teaching or being a openly gay teacher or being a elective teachers? Like any last minute, any things that you would love to leave listeners with about any of those topics?
Yeah, I think when the Don't Say Gay bill came out, and being on social media and having a presence, I got a little bit, I wouldn't say a lot, I got a little bit of flack, but I got asked a lot to sort of like talk about it and get involved. And 28-year-old Greg would have eaten that up because I really thought people cared about what I had to say and stuff. But I took a minute and I realized, and I didn't say anything, I didn't speak about it. There's currently a bill that's similar that's going through Louisiana because, of course it is. But I know I was doing way more good being in a typically not accepting of gay environment, being open and honest and very, like 100% authentically myself as witness for those kids like myself who went to gay Catholic school, and we didn't say gay because not because we weren't allowed to or it was a law, but because it was taboo and it was, it was bad, And I think it's important for representation anywhere, just like anything, for those young kids that are growing up and may have never seen a gay person and don't know how. And it's not that I talk about it at all, and I wouldn't, without a parent there, because I'm not a parent and I don't believe in whatever, but just seeing me being happy, seeing me being successful, seeing me being myself is so important, I think, for just that handful of people that might go, oh, it's okay to be not that. It's okay to be that, right? And it's just by being, not by actively saying, it's okay to be gay, everybody. Like, I don't say that. I've never said that, and I don't think I will. I don't know where I could say that in my 40 minutes of what I'm doing.
Right.
But I think for those people that feel like you're not doing enough or that just being in the room isn't enough, it is. It's super powerful, I think, to just be. But I think that's really anything. It's super. The more authentic you are, it's just it's going to resonate with people. So I don't know.
I love that. I think that's
my 2 cents. I think I do more by just being than I did by getting on a soapbox, because it's easy to be loud, but
it's more you.
It's more me, and I think if I really took myself out of it and was like, how effective can I be? That's how, just by being in the room. So
that's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
No, thank you for having me.
I had so much fun.
Me too. I didn't feel that this was like an hour and a half.
I know.
You're gonna have to cut.
Go get lunch.
I know, and you're gonna have to cut like 80% of this because
I'm not gonna cut anything. I love it. We're just gonna have to go get lunch because this is fun. I like hanging out with you very much. We need to do this. Every time I come see family,
please,
we're gonna set up a little date.
We'll go walk.
Yeah. We'll go to like Cafe Du Monde and get some beignets or something. My mom's been asking for that all week.
Oh my God. You need to get a frozen cafe au lait.
Ooh, that sounds
It will be
good.
your favorite drink.
Okay, we're gonna have to do that maybe tomorrow.
Frozen cafe au lait. Cafe Du Monde.
Okay,
I didn't
Mom's
know
like writing it down.
It's the most delicious thing you will have, and you will literally hate me for it. I'm sorry.
No, we're gonna love you for it.
No, because you'll be like, I need it every time. I get it every time I take a flight. Because I go to that one.
The one at the airport. Yeah, I feel that. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and hope to see y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye, my lovelies.
Hey guys, I think most of y'all would agree with me when I say you can only really express your true self with your closest friends. My friends know me inside and out, and because of that, I can share anything with them. But friendships, like anything else, can be kind of hard to keep up with when life gets crazy. It can be schools, chores, jobs, or even when a best friend moves and has to change schools. Luckily, Instagram is here to save the day because they allow me to create close friends lists that allow me to send stories to just my besties. Like, maybe it's a funny meme that I found while scrolling, or maybe it's that photo I took while I was ugly crying during that sappy rom-com. I love being able to share that easily with just close friends to give them a laugh. There's a saying that goes, "It's just the little things," and I swear it's still true. Because thanks to Instagram, I can share that everyday ridiculousness with my close friends. Finding ways to keep up with friends can be challenging. Life comes at you fast, and it can be hard to stay in touch. That's why I love Instagram. Sometimes when I'm feeling nostalgic, I'll tag my friends in an old photo of us just to let them know that I'm thinking about them, or share a song that reminds me of them. And I'm so glad that Instagram gives us the outlet to do that. There's that old saying that goes, "It's just the little things," and I swear it's still true. And I'm so glad that I can enjoy those little things with Instagram and my close friends.